The tax stimulus as well, supposedly they are ending in September, but I believe there's speculation all over the place. But what do you think here in Australia with the tax stimulus ending in Australia? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so look, obviously hard to predict anything with certainty at the moment. You want a government to give you certainty in business, and I don't know that we're having much of that at the moment, but it is a tough job as well. So I think what we do know is that various industries, tourism, hospitality, construction, travel, they're going to be affected. That's something that we know, and no matter how much stimulus comes forward, it's not going to be enough to save all those businesses. Hopefully it's enough to save the good ones, because we will need those industries going forward. So look, various industries, they're going to really struggle, and I guess they need to make a call. Hey, can I get through this, or do I just have to accept it and call it a day, and hopefully keep your house if you have one, and keep your reputation, and live to fight another day, as opposed to lose it all. The government stimulus, Scott Morrison said a couple of weeks ago, look, some businesses are going to have to fail. There's a lot of companies, the people that I was speaking to in March who had 800 grand tax debt, 300 grand tax debt, the ATO said, we're not going to do anything till the end of the year. So they've gone, cool, free, get out of jail free. I'll see you later. I'm not talking to you anymore, Java. So maybe come back in September. So those guys, they're going to have to, there's going to be a reality check, and the ATO will recommence their action. And the ATO can now, the credit reporting laws are now in. So if you've got a debt that's 90 days, I think over 10 grand, and you're not engaging with the ATO, then that's going to turn up as a default. And lo and behold, everyone's going to know that you've got debt. So that's a problem. Creditors are going to be able to recover their debts freely from around 25 September. And I met with a debt collector a few weeks ago. They said they've got to, that's their business, recovering debts. There's lawyers and debt collectors that they get paid to recover debts, and they haven't been able to for 6 months. So they've got a stack of statutory demands and bankruptcy notices that they're ready to serve at the beginning. And so that I don't see that the government is going to interfere with that mechanism of private industry, debt recovery, because it's hurting all those businesses that need to be paid their debts. And then I think, if you do have a business that it's 50-50, they're the hardest ones, the ones that you're not sure which way they're going to go, and you just have to keep monitoring. Then, if it doesn't work out, then from about 25 September, the government relaxation of the government safe harbour is going to end, and directors are going to start becoming personally liable for those debts if their company's insolvent, and then it later goes into liquidation. So if they've got assets, if they've got things to lose, then they need to look at now implementing the 2017 safe harbour, we call it, to protect them from personal liability for their company's debts in the event that it doesn't work out. So, and look, I guess I'll get a mention on that note. Look, the 4 key things that directors need to consider personally, because look, often the discussion will go very quickly from, well, what happens to the company to, well, what happens to me? And so, look, as a liquidator, if I'm looking at being the appointee to a company, I can give general advice to the director, but which is generally enough anyway for them to form a view of whether they're going to keep their house or be in trouble. But the 4 things: director loan accounts, always a troubled area. I think switching them to salary is good in a way, because at least the director loan account's not ballooning. And it's an awkward conversation when me and the accountant are sitting there with the director, and I'm saying, oh, yeah, see that director loan, you have to pay that back. And the director's going, well, no, that's my salary. That the accountant told me that's how we do it. And I'm going, well, yeah, but I'm going to have to demand repayment. So director loans, director penalty notices for PAYG, superannuation, and GST from 1 April. Big concern. You can't negotiate with the ATO. It's all or nothing. You can negotiate with a liquidator. So, be mindful of keeping your lodgements up to date and for super and your BAS, and then consider insolvency advice to an insolvency appointment to avoid risk, avoid becoming personally liable for your company's debts. Insolvent trading we talked about, and then personal guarantees. Look, unfortunately, particularly with leases, there's not a lot you can do to get out of them unless you can negotiate a settlement. But that's where, look, if a business owner, they just don't have the money to keep their business going, but someone else might be willing to walk in and take over the premises and take over the business and keep trading and take over the lease, most importantly, then that could be a good outcome. You might not be selling the business for what you think it's worth, but it's better to have someone in there running that business, taking over the lease, paying the lease, and you can at least walk away without 2 or 3 years worth of lease liability sitting squarely on your shoulders of the director. So, I sort of, people think their business is worth this, it's worth this in liquidation. So I try to get them to recalibrate their expectation to be, hey, an outcome here, it's not what I wanted, but it's not as bad as the worst case scenario.